She knocked Custer off his horse at Little Bighorn, ended one of America's most famous battles, and you've never heard her name because Hollywood decided a white man's defeat wasn't marketable, but her story is about to change everything you thought you knew about the Wild West. Ready to find out why the U.S. military was more terrified of Native women warriors than they ever admitted in the history books? Buffalo Calf Road Woman rode into the Battle of the Rosebud, saw her brother surrounded by cavalry, charged through a hail of bullets, pulled him onto her horse, and rode out while soldiers watched in shock. The Cheyenne named the battle where the girl saved her brother. But 8 days later, she did something even more legendary. At Little Bighorn, she struck General Custer himself, knocking him from his horse in the midst of battle, a blow that turned the tide and led to one of the most famous military defeats in American history. But her name was kept secret for over a century to protect her family from retaliation. Lozen, the Apache warrior and prophet, fought alongside Geronimo and was called the greatest strategist the Apache ever produced. She could sense enemy locations by holding her arms out and feeling a tingling in her palms, a spiritual gift that saved her people countless times and made her untouchable in battle. Dahteste was a Chiricahua Apache warrior and translator who fought in battles, negotiated with the U.S. military, and was so respected that Geronimo trusted her to carry messages between war chiefs. She outlived them all and died in 1955. But most Americans have never heard her name. The Crow Nation had warrior women called Bayawachi-Ichish, who earned their status through acts of bravery in combat, with women like Woman Chief leading war parties of men and counting coup against enemy tribes, becoming one of the most feared warriors on the northern plains. These weren't exceptions or rare anomalies. Indigenous cultures across North America had established traditions of women warriors, and they were so effective that the U.S. government intentionally erased their stories to maintain the myth that Native people and women were weak. Hollywood gave you cowboys and Custer's heroic last stand, but they hid the Native woman who knocked him off his horse and changed American history. If you think women warriors belong in the history books right next to the men, follow for the names they tried to erase.